All right. So last is going to be me. I'm going in with a little bit lower tech way of getting data into NetBox because I mean, ultimately, they're hopefully they're places that have at least some sort of information out there in some sort of documented format that can eventually end its way up in a CSV format. So I've got just a couple of dummy devices here, and we've got five. We have five here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 switches and 5 patch panels. So the way that you've for quite some time have been able to do imports into NetBox is through the device bulk import screen, where you can upload a file or just paste data in. Something that's new, though, is the ability to do that with JSON or a YAML file. So we'll do the comma separated first. We'll go ahead and send that in. Let me expand my screen a bit here. Where's that grab bar at? This is what I get for using an underpowered VM. All right, there are my switches. Easy enough. But we can also do JSON now. So here are a few more switches in a JSON format. And you can see here it's set to auto detect right now, so you don't necessarily have to pick that. Go ahead and submit those. All right, JSON will work well. And then once that finishes, I'll do it one more time with YAML. It's working like it should. So once these are in, and you can see I kind of used bad names here, just my new switch. And the way I like to think about kind of what I'm going to do next is more along the lines of, well, let's say there's been an acquisition and names need to change, or you need to update really just any bit of how a device is configured inside of NetBox itself. I'm going to pick on the name because that's an easy one to pick on. But realistically, it can be anything that you can assign to a device. If I jump back over here into the bulk reporting fields here, or the bulk import, there's this option down here that lets you import an ID as part of this bulk action. But the interesting part about that is, okay, when you create a new device, that ID is generated on the fly. So the new feature here is it will actually update the existing object if an ID exists already alongside it. So if I went back over into devices and just did an export of everything, and so we'll go ahead and open that up. Cell, open the wrong screen. Here we go. So now you can see, all right, here's everything that I just created. We have the ID in there as well. But what I'm going to want to do is change some of these names here. So you still have to, when you're doing an import, abide by the import rules if you're trying to do a bulk change. So we still need to have our fields named the same way. And there are other ways that you can go about controlling that export through export templates so that the data comes out in the format that you want it. But it seems like, at least from my experience, anytime that you're working with CSV files, there's always some tinkering that you have to do to align column names and things like that. So we'll leave the ID the same. Role is device role. Name is good. Manufacturer is good. Device type. I believe that's all I'll need. Status and site status. That needs to be lowercase active.
That should be device type, not time.
You are right. Thank you. I did not catch who pointed that out. Thank you.
And also, I think manufacturer rather than manufacturer.
I did that on purpose, I swear, just to see if people were paying attention. I didn't do that on purpose. Those are genuine typos. All right, and we'll dump the rest of these because we don't need them. We don't even need wrap. So this should be everything we need. We have device role, we have manufacturer, we have the name, we have the type, the status, and the site. So we'll set. So if I want to update these now, we can just call them, we'll keep it easy. Let's just say switch 10, switch 11. I'm not going to go through all of them, but that should be enough for Excel to figure out what I'm trying to do. And we'll call it key panel 10, key panel 11. Same thing, we'll just complete those out and we'll leave the other ones as they are. So we'll go ahead and just kill those. All right, so now I've got my updated file. So let me actually get to the comma separated version. So there we go. We'll copy that and we'll go ahead and paste it in. And if I was careful enough, there we go. So it says that it is imported 10 devices, but we can see the names have changed now. Oh, wait, did that not work? Did I do it wrong? Oh, I must have done something wrong. Well, that's embarrassing for a live demo.
That's how you know it's real.
Right? Yeah. So let's see here. What did I do?
Oh, Simon
wrong?
calls out the ID header should be lowercase.
You know what? That's exactly what it was. So, all right, let's try that one
Good
more
catch,
time.
Simon.
Yes, thank you, Simon. So back over here, did that not save?
There's an open bug for that, by the way. I just feel obligated to point out for detecting otherwise invalid headers. So that is something being worked on currently.
Thank you, Jeremy. And Simon again. Oh, and now I really made it mad because the name already exists because I just created them incorrectly. All right, so let's go back. Let's kill those that I created. That's a good sign that it errored, though, because that means it actually tried to perform the task I wanted it to do this time. And after we delete those out, go back in, import one more time. There we go. Now our IDs look good and they've been updated accordingly. So it's, you know, you still need to be correct when you're doing things. In order for something to be the source of truth, it needs to be true. So yeah, once that was corrected, it all went together fine. So that's different ways of bringing data in different formats and making a change. There's one more bulk action that I really like that I want to demonstrate as well, and that's doing cabling. So when my favorite environments to work in were the ones where I had a 48 port patch panel and a 48 port switch, and everything was just one-to-one. So you could go look at a data jack on a wall and say, okay, I'm in this closet in this patch panel. And if everything is laid out appropriately, you could jump in and say, okay, well, my patch panel goes to my switch. My patch panel goes to my switch. And depending on how far you want to model this, you could start building in kind of cool automations to say, well, I only need to know the jack number on the wall to be able to get over to that switch port or something along those lines. But in order to do that, you need to make sure that all of those interfaces are actually connected to patch panel ports so that you can put that together. So I have a larger comma separated here, which I'll have to change the names on here now because I did change the names of the switch. So it's no longer my patch 10. It was PPAN 10? Yeah, PPAN 10. And we'll just swap all those out. And then it's no longer my new switch 10. It's just switch 10, right? Right. So then you can see through here, just kind of through the headers. All right, we have which side, the A side. Okay, it's this device, this type of port, and then the port identifier going to what's on the B side. So switch 10 to the interface gig 10, and it's a Cat6a connection. So this is just the 48 ports for that one switch. If we jump down into connections and cables, you can see we have nothing there right now. But if we go ahead and put that in, it'll chew through and create all of those cabling links for you. So now if I jump back over into switch 10 and over to the interfaces, let me expand this out a little bit so they fit on single lines. You can see, all right, now that entire switch, at least for the 48 in-band ports that I'd be looking to map into a patch panel, have all been mapped in. And you can look at it from the other side as well. So we'll jump over to patch panel 10, look at the front ports, and yes, it's on switch 10 GI 101. If you've not played around with this cable mapping, it gets really fun when you start getting into the rear ports and you do cross connects between data closets or between floors, just different things like that. So you can do a layer 1 trace from switch port to switch port and have an idea of how, like, you've got a 24 strand fiber. Okay, which actual fibers are in use, different things like that. So that is importing different formats and bulk creating some cables as well. Any questions?
That was awesome, Jordan. Thanks for running through all that. Yeah,
Yep.
It's probably one of those long overdue features that I think we added that in 3.4, if I'm not mistaken. So
That sounds
yeah,
about right.
very cool. Also, I'll chime in just to touch on what I mentioned for 3.5. Also, if you go back to the import view real quick, there are 2 ways of importing this data. So we have what Jordan was doing, just copying and pasting. You also have under the second tab, which is uploading a file. The intent is that with version 3.5, we'll have a third tab, which will be to source the data from one of those remotely synchronized data files. So we'll be introducing that ability as well. Just wanted to call that out real quick.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, I hope that people find that useful. Obviously, the kind of the paradise is an automation paradise, but it's hard to get there instantly. And I know this is a good way to start onboarding data in a not completely automated fashion, but not, let's create a new device 150 times.